What's up everybody? United and Stormwind releases later today, and so I wanted to share with you guys some of the theory crafts that I'm the most excited to try out on day one. So now I normally do like 40 to 45 theory crafted decks every expansion. Real life was a pain this time, and I wasn't able to get through all of these deck lists that I wanted to theory craft. But I do have my favorites that I want to share with you guys so that you guys have a couple of fresh ideas to play on day one, day two of the brand new expansion. If you want to check out any of these lists as they get refined, or any of the lists that I play that are not one of the ones that I talk about today, make sure you guys join my Discord channel. I'll be posting all of my updated lists with deck codes and everything like that in appropriate channels, so make sure you guys join that. It's free to join, and you can just mute all the other notifications. You can just join to look at all the deck lists, because that's what a lot of people do. And if you guys are interested in any of the gameplay, make sure you guys check out my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/getmeowth, where I'll be streaming a ton this week with the brand new expansion. Or you can drop a subscription here on the YouTube channel so that you guys get notifications on when gameplay videos of all of these brand new decks go live as well. Alright, enough of me talking, let's hop into some of these theory crafts. Alright, the first deck that I want to talk about, we have to talk about it. We're going to talk about some Raza Hunter. So my version of the build is very, very spell heavy. Lots of spells to take advantage of damage early in the game. We utilize the Kolkar Pack Runner and the Starving Buzzard draw engine. Play a Buzzard, coin out a Pack Runner, do a bunch of things, get control of the board back, draw your deck so that you can complete the quest. Once you've completed the quest, you basically want to combo all of those spells and that free refreshable hero power with a Dragon's Bane. Dragon's Bane, 4 mana, 3/5. After you use a hero power, deal 5 to a random enemy. So this is basically our Spawn of Shadows if you want to equate it to Reno Priest. The only other minions that I'm running in the deck, right, so we've talked about those 6. I'm running a Slate and I'm running a theorycrafting Bane. So Slate combos with all of those little, diddly 1-drops, right, On the Hunt, Rapid Fire, Wound Prey, Bola Shot, stuff that you're normally just running to complete your quest. And they really only hit those 1-drop pirates or the 1/1 dudes. You now actually can kill, giants potentially, or even more beefy minions. So I really like the inclusion of Slate. Just to test, I'm not 100% certain he'll be good. So if you don't have it, you're okay maybe holding off on that craft. And then I'm running theorycrafting Bane as just another way to draw a bunch of spells. The last spicy inclusion that I'm running is a Lock and Load. A couple of copies of that, just for more fuel, right? As you're popping off with the Defend the Dwarven District. Lock and Load giving you some more resources. I know they're not limited to spells, right? You can get Hunter minions, Hunter weapons, all that kind of good stuff. But, I think just plenty of fuel. Lock and Load was seeing a little bit of play in Standard, believe it or not. And so I do want to try out Lock and Load in this list. I do think that it is a meme, and probably just as better as another 1-drop spell. But I'm going to try it out and see how it feels. But yeah, that is Raza Hunter. The next deck I want to talk about is Bubble Handbuff Paladin. So this is something that we've hyped up on the podcast a little bit. And this is the version of the deck that I am probably going to pilot first. So the idea behind this deck is you have a bunch of the bubble taunts in the early game to hit off of Call to Arms, right? You have Righteous Protectors, Wax Elementals, Annoyatrons, as well as Murger, Minibot, and Kangor. So lots of bubbles to pull off. So hopefully the idea is you play a Jewel Kit on 1, maybe a 2-drop on 2, Smuggler's Run to 2-drop on 3, Call to Arms on 4. You're buffing up your hand a ton, because then you can play stuff like Samuro or Catacomb Guards or Horse Riders. My top end is a little bit heavy. We're running Ziliax, Cornelius Rome, and 4-Dragon. I think the Ziliax and the 4-Dragon are definitely a little bit too slow. And if you want to substitute those out for, let's say, the 3/2 Chargers, right? The 4 mana 3/2 Chargers with Lifesteal, feel free if you feel like you need more damage. But I wanted to play a little bit with the new cards, so we're going to do that. But yeah, the deck is pretty straightforward. I think this deck just has a ton of just powerful cards. I think is the idea, right? Powerful, effective, efficient cards. So it seems pretty damn powerful to me. Excited to try it out and see how powerful it is. Alright, so then we move into Priest. We couldn't get too far without talking about this deck. I have bought back into the hype yet again. I made the mistake. We've done it. But this is the Aggro Shadow Priest. So Benedict is just allowing us the ability to control the board in the early game, which is kind of the big deal, because this deck used to be, we fell behind so we lose, right? With that hero power, you don't necessarily have to fall behind so quickly, especially in combination with Shadowcloth Needle. You have pretty effective ways to actually control the board. Besides that, the game plan is pretty straightforward. We've got some pretty powerful 1-drops with Undertaker and Void Touched Attendant to synergize with stuff like Leopard Gnomes and Shadow Bombers. So we have the 8 1-drops. Our 2-drop package is pretty light, right? Dead Ringer, Shadowcloth Needles, and Twilight Deceptors are kind of the only cards you're happy playing on turn 2. But with that, we also have the Mind Blast, Shadow Visions, Thrives to combo with stuff, both the Twilight Deceptors and the Shadowcloth Needles. Then we're getting into Albatross and Shadow Spirits in the 3-drops. Our Twilight's Call and Raised Deads are going to be bringing back a bunch of just high impact minions. All right, so the Twilight's Call, Shadow Spirit, damage, Albatross, turn off Renos, Dead Ringer, card draw, and then of course the Leopard Gnomes for more damage. As we move into the top end, like I said, Dark Bishop Benedictus means that we're a lot less all in, so I'm running a little bit of a heavier package with Kazakis and Cornelius Rome to give us a little bit more staying power as we get into longer games. Whether that's worth it or not, I'm not sure. But again, wanted to try it out. And obviously we'll change it as we see kind of the role that this deck is going to play in the metagame. But yeah, that is Aggro Shadow Priest. I have bought back into the hype, and we'll see how this deck goes. I will say another deck that I considered talking about today, but didn't really feel like it was new enough, but definitely will be strong enough. I do want to try just like regular old Reno Priest, Spawn of Shadows, Raza, Anduin, Reno Priest, running Dark Bishop Benedictus. Just giving you more tools in the early game with the Dark Bishop Benedictus without having to give up too much. And the cards that you are giving up, the hero power from Benny kind of makes up for it anyways. So, not the most exciting deck. Same with like Big Priest and Shadowcloth Needles. So they're not too new, but I wanted to mention those as like honorable mentions that you can probably play on day one and have a lot of success with. Alright, let's move into Shaman. I spent a lot of time figuring out how we could fit all of these brand new cards into that Galakrond Shutterwalk Shaman. And then I had this epiphany, and by had this epiphany I mean Corbett kind of just mentioned on the latest podcast that we could just run pure old Elemental Shaman. So that's exactly what we're doing here. We have the traditional kind of early game that you guys have seen before in that Galakrond Shutterwalk build. We're also running that Ice Fishing package that has become super popular and is super strong. And then basically what happens is in combination with the Auction Master Gavels and the Granite Forgeborns, we can afford to run a little bit of a heavier top end. And by heavier top end, I mean we're running double Lily Pad Lurkers, a Grumble, a Calamos, and a Ragnaros. The Calamos and the Ragnaros are probably way too memey, but any excuse to try to bust out my Golden Calamos and my Diamond Rag, I'm going to try, and we'll see how it goes. If those end up being way too slow, you can also just try out Fire Elementals, or we can even bring back Earth Revenants, and just play solid mid-range Shaman with these Elementals. And as you might notice, a lot of these are just kind of standard cards, which means that this deck might be just really powerful in standard, which means that it might get nerfed. So get your games in with this deck while you can. It looks pretty powerful. I know it looks really fair on the surface, but there's a lot of mana cheating, lots of power within these decks, right? You've got the double Gavel, the double Harbinger, and the double Forgeborn. You're going to be playing potentially Calamosas for 5 mana, which is pretty awesome. So I hope you guys enjoy this deck. I know this is going to be one of the ones that I'm playing on day one myself. Alright, so let's move over to Warlock, the best class in Wild. Warlock, mainly two things that I wanted to talk about. Evenlock and Reno Evenlock are the two decks that I think are getting the biggest buffs this expansion. So I want to start just really quickly with Evenlock. Dark Alley Pact is just another Mountain Giant, another 8/8. Spice Bread Baker. Say that 5 times fast. Looking like it's just a neutral heal bot for Evenlock specifically. And then the big buffs, the Entitled Customer and the Goldshire Knolls. So these aren't the big 8/8s, right? But they're not the big dumb idiots. But Entitled Customer, like I mentioned on the podcast, I think this card is just absolutely nuts. I think this card is just great, and it's even better in stuff like Evenlock. And then Goldshire Knolls, these are mainly going to be 2 mana, 3 mana, 5/4s with Rush, which are way above average, right? When you look at just kind of stats for mana cost. And allows you some early game interactions so that we don't have to run a ton of stuff like, Dark Bombs and Nether Breaths and stuff like that. So, yeah, this is Evenlock, and then even Reno Lock. This is the deck that I've been playing for a long time, and it's finally getting a lot of tools, right, from the past couple expansions. So we're getting Goldshire Knolls, we're getting more Forge Fiends, where we talked about Entitled Customer and Atherons. But we're also getting stuff like Demonic Assault, right? 4 mana, deal 3, summon 2 Voidwalkers. We're getting that unstable Shadow Blast, 2 mana, deal 6 to a minion. I'm also even running Encumbered Pack Mules as just a way, like, cheap taunts that don't really deplete your hand size. So I'm really, really excited about Reno Evenlock. I think this is a deck that's had a ton of like potential for a very, very long time, and I'm excited to try it out again. And so last but not least is not a deck that I'm actually pretty excited about, but kind of a deck that I'm a little bit scared of, to be completely honest with you. So this is the Turbo Mill deck with the Demon Seed. So essentially the idea behind this deck is you draw through your entire deck, you hit fatigue as fast as possible while, you know, kind of controlling the board. And then once you hit fatigue, you play your reward, right? You play Bloodborne Tamsin, and then you just turbo fatigue yourself, except all that fatigue damage is dealing damage to your opponent. And fatigue damage scales super fast. For any of you guys that have played mill decks, like Mill Rogue, you know what I'm talking about. But the cute thing in this deck, we're running Bloodblooms and Dooms. Okay, so for 4 mana and deal 10, you're going to complete part of your quest, draw 6 or 7 cards while you clear the board, which I think is pretty damn powerful, if I say so myself. We have Pokekill to help us find those Dooms and Bloodblooms. And I will say, once you hit that reward and you play the reward, Bloodbloom Doom is pretty much just going to be a kill. So shoutouts to White Delight for that, you know, the idea behind this. But this deck, like the worst part about this is that this deck looks like legit, which is scary because it looks like it's going to be absolutely miserable to play against. So yeah, I hope this deck isn't good. It'll probably be a lot of fun to play, not very fun to play against, which is the sign of like one of the, you know, those decks are usually the ones that are broken. So we'll see how this deck ends up going. And last but not least, you guys thought I was going to go through this entire video and not talk about Reno Pirate Warrior. This is definitely the deck I am playing first because this deck looks really, really good, looks really, really powerful, and most importantly, I get to play the Juggernaut. And I get to try to do Juggernaut things in a deck that looks really, really powerful with a bunch of new cards. Right? We have Cornelius Rome as our top end draw engine. We have all the brand new pirates in Freebooters and Scamp and the Cargo Guard. And as I mentioned, we get the Juggernaut. We get to play the Pirate Warrior quest. I'm excited for this. This deck actually looks real. It looks legit. And I'm excited for this deck. Like, it's very much a Reno Secret Mage style of deck where, like, it's probably not going to be better than Pirate Warrior. I will concede that point. It will not be better than regular Pirate Warrior, but it will have many advantages over Pirate Warrior. Specifically against stuff like Pirate Warrior itself, probably really good against stuff like Odd Paladin, probably really good against stuff like Secret Mage. And so it'll be really, really good against aggressive decks while being able to cheese out some of the slower decks. You do lose percentages against stuff like Reno Priest and Reno Lock, but depending on your metagame, this deck could be legit, and I'm excited to try it out. But yeah, so those are my decks that I'm the most excited to try out here on day 1 of the expansion. Again, I know I missed a lot of decks here. I'm really, really sorry that I didn't get to do my 40 deck theory crafts. Real life just, it sucks sometimes, you know, it happens. But I hope you guys enjoyed my really, really quick run through. Let me know down in the comments what decks you guys are the most excited to play, especially if they're ones that are different than the ones that I put up on the video today. And hit me up with some deck codes. I'm looking forward to playing some new decks, and I'll be playing them all week over at twitch.tv/gkHBKHoA, and I'll be posting the highlights over here on YouTube as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys enjoy United in Stormwind.